the economy of this country. Now, joblessness because of jobs which have been lost, work hours which have been lost, and people needed now to change tact and be able to employ other ways of tackling these issues. Like in the corporate world, many people stayed home to work home. These are concepts that we had not tried before.
Yeah. A lot of things went digital.
A little thing went digital to the extent that even now children, whom many parents were trying to keep away from phones, now phones were the thing. So the impact of that, we need still to mitigate. How will children stay with phones or iPhones and not be negatively influenced or get into the trap that we thought was imminent? So, however, this is a year when now we need to plan. We need to look ahead. We need to be able to run before a crisis. So a crisis brings us to a point of regenerating ourselves, a point where we become more aware, a point whereby we employ technology so that we are able to be ahead of it. All right, so that we can be able then to be ready for the next crisis, because crisis demands action. So Kenya as a nation, Africa as a nation, we need to act. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to redirect resources where we feel they are less needed, or they will be less needed. Let us now invest in security. Let us invest in health. Let us invest in education. Let us invest in job creation for our youth. Yeah, and this is a good lesson. This is a good thing. It's an wake-up call for this nation, for the leaders, for the planners to be able to plan, strategically plan, and be able to move forward. So I believe that is the good thing, a positive thing about crisis.
So you believe there is hope for Africa?
There is great hope for Africa.
After COVID?
After COVID. Post-COVID, Africa needs to wake up and be able to run, to be able to catch up with the times, and especially at the leadership level.
Now, this one is kind of tricky because Kenyans, we used a lot of science to manage COVID. Tanzanians decided to use faith, you know, as a leader as a clergy, and also as a leader in academia and an expert in other fields. What is your comment, Kenya versus Tanzania, the way we've handled COVID?
Let me tell you the truth. The story about Tanzania is still very vague, and it's shrouded in mystery. We don't have facts. And where there are no facts, we are more disposed to guesswork and assumptions, which may not be very, very factual. So we need facts before we actually comment about Tanzania. Well, the truth is that Tanzania, they have declared that there's no COVID. That one, you cannot throw it down my throat, because personally, I don't believe that that's true. Personally, I don't believe that's true. COVID is in Africa, period. And we have to deal with it. So how we deal with it, it is for us. Now, there's a proverbial, what do you call this bird? Proverbial, which sticks his head in the sand and says,
the ostrich.
The ostrich, yeah. That could be the scenario right now. Yeah. They're saying that I can't see you because my head is me. I don't see you, so you are not there. Let me tell you, COVID is in Africa, and it's a scourge. It's ravaging Africa. It has ravaged Africa. It has ravaged the world. Tanzania is not exempt. I am wishing them well, but I don't believe that COVID is not in Tanzania. Coming to your question, therefore, concern, science has its place. And science has a very big space in modern Kenya, modern Africa. we cannot do without science.
We need faith, but we can't do without science.
We can do without science because science is God-given. Science is God-instigated. Science is an impulse or is a push by the creator of the universe. And the Bible says clearly that what is revealed to us is ours and our children. But there are those things that are not revealed to us. Now, science is what reveals
The hidden.
the hidden. It is science that discovered that this thing is COVID-19 and it works in this way and that. That is science. It's not religion. So we know science, we know COVID through science. And therefore science must work alongside our faith.
We can't run away from
We can't run away from science.
Oh.
Otherwise, whoever is saying otherwise does not know what science is. And we need scientists. We need specialists. We need them to do more research. We need them to find out how we can be able to get vaccine for COVID. It is science. And once we get vaccine for COVID, that's the end of COVID.
Now, as a leader, we have the Kenyan dream and we have the East African community dream. Is Tanzania helpful in this arrangement?
Very interesting question. Now, let me confess.
Yes, sir.
I think our history, our backgrounds, is really taking much of the responsibility for what we are seeing today. Because this is not the first time that Tanzania has given Kenya a cold shoulder. During the Eastern Community, now we have Africa Union, East African Community. It is that frosty relationship we had with Tanzania that actually broke down Eastern Community. To the extent that Kenyans who are working in Dar es Salaam, they had to come back home, and vice versa. So I think Kenya and Tanzania need to work on that relationship. It could be the ideology. It could be based on difference in our
Cultures and all
culture
that.
and not culturally, but their origin, especially in terms of colonization, what we are exposed to. And there are some things that we have not quite reconciled. But I believe Kenya owes to Kenyan always owes it to Kenya and Tanzania to work out those differences and as much as possible be able to clear them so that we don't continue sensing or hearing the conflict rearing its head over and over again. Yeah, because that's not healthy for AU. It's not healthy for AU. Kenya, Tanzania should work closer than even Tanzania and Kenya and Rwanda. Because Kenya is a neighbor of Tanzania.
Yeah.
Our borders need to be safe. Our borders need to be. We need to be. Yeah.
We share people.
Yeah,
We share
because
people,
we
yeah.
share people. Because when the white man came, he just drew a straight line from Mwanza down to the Indian Ocean. It was a straight line. And therefore you split up families. Some half in Kenya, half in. So we need to look at that and see that Kenyans has Tanzania people, Tanzania has Kenyan people. Yeah,
We are a brotherhood.
we are brothers. Yeah, so we need to look at that. I think ideology probably is what's causing us issues. But I think our leaders need to work on that. Selflessly try and bridge those gaps so that our people can live together in peace.
So from a sentiment, it's like politics and faith and religion cannot be separated. Kenya is heading towards 2022. As a leader, in all the fields you've been, do you recommend for the church to pray for leaders, or the church to nominate leaders for the Kenyan elections?
Now, there's a statement I made from the book of Proverbs that talked about when the righteous are in authority,
Yeah.
people rejoice. I believe politics can be clean if the politicians are clean. But dirty politics will definitely bring about dirty leadership. We need to create a brand of politics that is safe, that is pure, that is righteous, that is truthful, so that we can have leaders who are righteous, who are truthful, and who mean what they say, and who carry out their promises to the people. But as long as we go on with our brand of politics, then definitely there will be a different variance with the church. Because the church is crying out for righteousness, for holiness, for good leadership. The brand of politicians we have today are going to the witch doctors to consult. They are finding a way of dominating, finding of injuring their enemy, political enemies, and so it's a dog kind of war. These are dogs of war. So we need to create that. It's not there. So I would say, as we stand today, that politics and church cannot mix today, because we have not brought that environment. But that's my prayer, that the church will play a great role in fact, even in electing leaders, because the church has the standard. The religious organizations, I believe, have this. They know when they say holy, they know what holy means.
Yeah.
They say righteousness, they know what righteousness is. They say truth, they know what truth is. But that must be inculcated in our system. Yeah. So it's the politicians who would like to stay away from the religious organizations, because they are safer there, because they can do their dirty stuff. And so everybody, even a good man, once they go into politics, right now, when they go into politics right now, they are normally swallowed up in the same system, because there's a system. Yeah. So that system must be dismantled. And the church needs to play a role in that. The church has the power to dismantle this system, so that politicians will be, the leaders we get will be leaders who are God-fearing. Then the country will be blessed, then people will rejoice.
Amen. Now, in our last segment, we learned that every leadership journey has high and low moments. And in as much as we've excelled and achieved a lot and made wealth and titles and all that, I believe as a leader you've had your low moments.
Let me tell you, you cannot be a leader and you fail to have low moments. Because whenever you have a low moment, there is a high moment coming. Because low moments is a time of reflecting. It's a time of looking back where you come from, appreciating that this far you have come, and then taking a step or re-engineering for the next step, which will take you in a different trajectory. So leadership has to deal with low moments, and there are many. There are many. I've had series of them in my life, in my lifeline. If you look at my river of life, you'll see them. Yeah, low moments. When, for example, in O levels, I got a low grade in O levels.
It crushed you.
It crushed me because I didn't. Even my father didn't expect that, because I was not a dumb student. Yeah. But I took courage. That was very low. I was low. My goodness, it was bad. But I took courage. And I went and did the exam again. And I became the only student in the school with top mark.
Serious?
Yes. So that was a low moment. But when I gathered myself again and I told my father, I want to redo the exam next year. He agreed. He paid my fees. And in those days, we didn't have the kind of grading we have today
Yeah.
of A or whatever. We had
The divisions.
Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and then pass, Division 4. Sorry. Yeah. So at a low moment when I had a Division 3,
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. I expect something better.
So from this, I'm learning a lesson. Failure is not final.
Failure is only final if you don't gather yourself again. And I learned that lesson at that time. So it was my low moment, yes, momentarily, but I picked myself up and I went back into the same school. And that's the same school where I went to teach after A levels. So from Division 3, the
From
next
a failure
year,
to
to Division 1.
yeah, and back to
And
the teacher.
those days, the results were published in the Nation and in the Standard.
The newspaper, it was public.
Yes. So in my school, I was the only one on top there, Division 1. Then I realized I'm not stupid.
It was just a circumstance.
Yes. So my father also was shocked because he didn't know how I would make it. But I became a star.
Yeah.
And we celebrated at home. My father was ecstatic.
Wow.
My father was happy. Wow, the whole family was happy. Yeah. And I realized I could make it. I'm not stupid. I
Wow.
could make it. Yeah. So we're talking about low moments and high moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Low moments are there, and I think in my life there have been very many. Yeah. I went for an interview once. I've been passing interviews, but there's one I went for promotion and I didn't make it.
It
So
confused you.
that was a low moment.
Yeah.
But I was already mature. I'd already gathered enough courage and knew that this could be a low moment, but it's not a final moment. Yeah, so I struggled on and I rejoiced.
Yeah.
And God made some other ways out, you know. So, yeah, so I got to where I needed to be anyway.
Yeah. Eventually you got there.
Yes.
So there's hope.
There are many. There are many low moments.
I remember the first time I saw you shed tears when you're burying your mom.
Now, that's a low moment. Oh, my goodness. That's a low moment. And I think any man, I'm talking about men particularly, mother is very important. And my mother died when I was already an old man. And I didn't know I would cry, but I did. But it was a cry mixed, tears mixed with joy. Because I knew that she has rested. And I also knew where she was happy.
Yeah.
But I knew we would miss her. Because a mother at that age of 90 plus is an authority in a home. She may be old.
But the wisdom.
Let me tell you, the wisdom and the word from her mouth.
Means a lot.
Actually, when the father dies earlier, now the mother is left. That mother sits in the place of the father. So she's like a prophet in your lives. Akisema ubarikiwe, umebarikiwa.
I can get it. Now, you've shared a few lessons. And Leadership is about equipping leadership in Africa to impact the world. Because you can't impact the world without impacting Africa. Now, what are the 3 most important leadership lessons that, in case you had the last moment to speak to leaders in Africa?
The lessons that I would want Africa to learn.
Yeah.
One, let us customize leadership. Let it be an African leadership. And I think Leadership Africa has to deal with the African leadership, type of leadership. Let's not borrow leadership from outside. Principles can apply, but when we come to application, we need to customize leadership to fit our situation and circumstances. Kenya is a diverse nation. Africa, we are talking about Africa, is diverse. But let me take Kenya as an example. There are some communities in Kenya and in Africa that are still behind. They are left behind. They might have left the forest, like I say, but they didn't go too far away from the forest. So as we talk about technology, we talk about technology in agriculture, technology in water water management, technology in science, technology in engineering. We even want to produce motor vehicles in Kenya. Let us remember that there are some communities in Kenya that still don't farm with the proper farm implements. There are still some who are hunting and gathering in this country, in this continent. So every nation must consider these aspects of leadership so that they can be able to be incorporated in the plan. Because we make our plans. We make our planning. And in our plans, we need to include everybody in this plan so that we can be able to touch their lives and move them. So that's an aspect that we need to look at. As we look at the model of leadership, let us remember this aspect, that there are some communities who are disadvantaged. We talk more about women being nini, but there are some men in communities where men are disadvantaged. Women are more empowered. Men don't know what to do. They are sleeping under the tree from morning to evening. Because the things they used to do long ago, those activities are not there anymore. They are not relevant. So men are simply idle. And as such, they are wasting away. We must plan. So my main thing is planning, that we need to plan. In Africa, we need to plan for our people. DRC Congo, plan for your people. Now, secondly, is that we need to discover the resources that we have and use the technologies that are appropriate to exploit these resources for the benefit of our people. We need to discover our resources and discover them and exploit them for the benefit of our people. I think that's very important. Every county in Kenya must discover what resources they have and must be able to exploit these resources for the betterment of their communities. Kenya should not be going hungry. Africa should not be crying for food. Africa should be a food basket for the nations of the world. The climate is there. The water is there. Climate, water, soil can be dealt with because soil is something that you can fertilize. We can be able to make use of our traditional knowledge and technologies and appropriate them in exploiting our resources. Because the assumption we are making is that an African doesn't know anything is a lie. We have lived in this continent for years. When the white man came to Africa, he found people living in Africa. They were existing. There were things we were coping with. Those mechanisms and mechanisms and technologies need to be harnessed where they're still useful, so that we can be able to exploit, in the best we know, our resources. There's a third one, which is basically important and many leaders have talked about, and that is the value addition. Because the world want to exploit resources in Africa, then African nations need to harness resources and add value. Do not take out resources from this nation without first adding value to make it competitive in the market outside there, so that we can get value for money. If it is food, process it, take it at least to the second level, and then sell it out at a price that's comfortable. One day I was invited, just a story as we finish. I was invited to speak in a Catholic church by a Catholic father to speak about Africa. Netherlands particularly, they import coffee from Tanzania, and that's high quality coffee. They just love it. So I was talking on behalf of Tanzania, although I was not from Tanzania, but I told them that there is a tragedy and a crisis. That as you enjoy your tea here in Holland, remember that there's a poor farmer who got a raw deal. This coffee is produced by a family in Tanzania, but what you're enjoying, they are not enjoying. They are the farmer, they are the producers. But right now, they cannot be able to take their kids to school. They are not able to feed themselves.
Some elite somewhere enjoying.
Exactly. So as you swallow this and enjoy this coffee, remember, with every swallow, there's a family going hungry in Africa. And begin to agitate for that reversal of that particular trend, so that the farmer can get value for money, for the sweat of producing this coffee.
Wow. Thank you for very serious sentiments. Now, I want you to look at the Leadership audience and give them your last words, because they are interacting with us and they need to know that you have them in your heart.
Now, everyone watching me this moment, it's a very simple statement that I'm going to make. And it touches on the kind of leadership we have today. I'm not a politician, but I'm speaking as an ordinary Kenyan, ordinary African, who has been around for a while. And I've noticed that if we continue the same way we are continuing, doing the same thing we are doing, expecting different outcomes, then we are in for a shock. A time has come for a serious shift. Our approach must change of leadership. We must, if it's within our power to choose leaders, we must interrogate every intention that a leader has. For them to qualify to lead us, what do they have? Do they have us at heart? Our needs, are they going to be met? Is my food going to be on my table? Or am I electing a leader who, after elections, disappears into towns and cities and speaking big, driving big cars, guzzlers that I am paying tax to be able to buy for them, and living in luxury, while we diminish and disappear in squalor? Then we are accursed, and not even God will help us. A time has come for a shift in our thinking. We must do things differently. We must engage a different gear so that we get different results. Africa, arise. The time has come for you to arise, because the glory of God and the opportunity that God has given us has come upon us. And it's within your power to speak out what's in your heart and let the world know what it is that you want as a voter, as a citizen of this country, and as a citizen of this continent. The power is in your hands. What are you going to do with it? That is my last point. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Let's catch up again in the next edition of Leadership Show. Enjoy your evening and sanitize. Stay safe.